The old woman suddenly transformed into a very young, beautiful woman overnight after what she did. Before you accept food from a stranger's hand, before you trust a smile that seems too perfect, let me tell you about the Christmas that nearly destroyed an entire community. This is the story of Mama Ejiro, and the feast that was never meant to nourish. She arrived on a Tuesday morning in early December,
Hello, everyone.
when the Harmattan winds were just
so
beginning
good
to blow
see
and
you all
Christmas
today.
preparations filled the air with excitement. Mama Ejiro, that's what she asked everyone to call her. A calm, soft-spoken woman who moved into the small yellow house at the end of Okoro Street. She looked to be in her 60s, gray hair neatly wrapped in a headscarf, gentle eyes, and a smile that seemed to radiate pure kindness. From the very first day, she was perfect, too perfect. She bought bread for the street children who played football in the dust. She helped fellow elderly women carry their market loads. When Mama Adana fell sick, Mama Ejiro appeared at her door with a pot of hot soup, saying, "No one should suffer alone." The women of Okoro Street praised her endlessly.
Hello,
What a blessing
everyone.
she is.
It is
So
good
kind,
to see you all
so
today.
generous. We are lucky to have such a neighbor. But there were signs, small things that people chose to ignore. Mr. Okonkwo, the night guard who patrolled the street, noticed that Mama Ejiro's lights stayed on until very late hours, sometimes until 3 a.m. And from her backyard, he would hear whispers. Not conversation, whispers, like many voices speaking at once, too low to understand. One night, he swore he saw her standing in her yard, speaking to a shadow that had no body. When he mentioned it to his wife, she laughed. "You're just tired, old man. That woman is harmless." Young Chitara, a curious, clever young girl who lived 3 houses down, noticed something else. Whenever Mama Ejiro smiled at someone, she would watch them walk away with an odd intensity in her eyes, like she was measuring them, studying them. But Chitara kept quiet. After all, who would believe a child? And so December continued. The community decorated their homes with lights and Christmas colors. Families prepared for the holiday. And Mama Ejiro continued being the perfect, gentle neighbor, until she made her announcement. "My dear neighbors," Mama Ejiro said, standing in the middle of the street with that eternal smile, "Christmas is a time for unity and celebration. I would be honored if you would all come to my home on Christmas Day. I will prepare a special feast, my grandmother's recipe for Christmas rice. Enough for everyone." The community erupted in gratitude. "Mama Ejiro, you are too kind. We will all be there. God bless you." Only one person objected. Papa Njoku was a poor old man who lived alone in a small room near the community well. He survived on odd jobs and the kindness of neighbors. When he heard about the Christmas invitation, he approached Mama Ejiro directly. "Mama," he said carefully, "you have just arrived here. You don't know us well. Why do you want to feed the entire street? What do you want from us?" Mama Ejiro's smile never wavered, but something flickered in her eyes, something cold. "Papa Njoku," she said softly, "I want nothing. I am simply a lonely old woman who wishes to share joy. Is that so wrong? People don't do things for nothing," Papa Njoku muttered. But the other neighbors shouted him down. "Leave her alone. You're just being cruel to a kind woman, always suspicious of everyone." Papa Njoku walked away, shaking his head. But young Chitara, who was standing nearby, saw something the adults didn't notice. When Papa Njoku turned his back, Mama Ejiro's smile dropped completely, just for a second, and her eyes followed the old man with pure, burning hatred. Christmas Day arrived with bright sunshine and church bells ringing across the community. Families dressed in their finest clothes attended morning service, and by afternoon, nearly 40 people gathered at Mama Ejiro's compound. The moment they entered her yard, they noticed the smell. Sweet, abnormally sweet, like honey mixed with flowers and something else, something they couldn't identify. It came from the massive pot of rice sitting on her outdoor stove. "Mama Ejiro, this smells like heaven," someone exclaimed. But inside the compound, there was an odd silence. No Christmas music, no laughter, just that sweet, heavy smell hanging in the air. Mama Ejiro stood beside her pot, wearing a white dress and holding a large serving ladle. Her smile was wider than ever. "Welcome, welcome," she said. "Please, everyone must eat, but you must take your first serving from my hand. It is tradition. The host must serve each guest personally for the blessing to work." People lined up eagerly. One by one, Mama Ejiro filled their plates, making sure to place the first spoonful into each person's mouth herself. "Open," she would say gently, and people obeyed, laughing. She watched each person swallow, watched with an intensity that should have alarmed them, like she was counting, measuring, recording. 43 people ate that day. Young Chitara stood at the back of the line, plate in hand. But something made her hesitate. She watched Mama Ejiro's face as she served, watched how her eyes gleamed each time someone swallowed. When it was Chitara's turn, Mama Ejiro smiled down at her. "Open your mouth, child." But at that moment, Chitara's mother called out, "Chitara, come help me carry these bottles." Chitara ran off, leaving her plate behind. In the chaos of the feast, no one noticed she never ate. The community returned to their homes, full and satisfied. They praised Mama Ejiro's cooking endlessly. "That was the best rice I've ever tasted. I could eat it every day. What a blessing that woman is." Even Papa and Joku, who had initially been suspicious, had eaten. The social pressure had been too much, and the rice had looked so good. That night, Mama Ejiro sat alone in her compound. In the darkness, her smile finally faded. She whispered to the shadows, 43, 43 years, 43 spirits. It is done." And then she laughed, a sound like dry leaves scraping against stone. The symptoms started 48 hours after the feast. Mr. Emeka, a strong young man who worked at the construction site, collapsed while carrying cement. When his co-workers ran to help him, they screamed. His face had changed. Wrinkles appeared around his eyes. His thick black hair was turning gray. In seconds, he looked 10 years older. At the marketplace, a pregnant woman named Blessing suddenly stopped walking and grabbed her stomach. "My baby," she whispered. "My baby stopped moving." Her sister rushed her to the clinic, but the doctors found nothing wrong. The heartbeat was there. Everything looked normal. But Blessing kept screaming, "Something is wrong. Something is eating my child." A teenage boy named Chitty woke up unable to move his legs. His joints had swollen overnight, and when he tried to stand, his knees buckled. He cried in pain, sounding like an old man with severe arthritis. Mr. Aruna, a successful businessman, walked into his own home and stared at his wife with blank eyes. "Who are you?" he asked. "I'm your wife, Aruna. We've been married for 20 years. I don't remember. I don't remember my children. I don't remember my name." His memory was being erased, like someone was slowly deleting his entire life. At the community church, 2 children fainted during evening service. They fell into deep comas. The pastor prayed over them, but they wouldn't wake up. Papa and Joku started coughing violently. Blood appeared on his handkerchief. His ribs began showing through his shirt as if something was draining him from the inside. He lost 15 pounds in 2 days. And then there was Mrs. Okafor. She ran into the street at midnight, screaming, "Something is chewing my bones. I can feel it. Something is inside me, chewing my bones." Her husband tried to calm her, but she collapsed, convulsing. Within 3 days, 28 people were suffering. The symptoms varied, but the pattern was the same: sudden, mysterious, devastating illness. Doctors were baffled. Test results showed nothing. Pastors held prayer vigils, but nothing changed. Traditional herbalists were consulted, but their medicines didn't work. The community descended into chaos. Families wept. People stopped going to work. Fear spread like wildfire. And then someone noticed. "Wait," said Mrs. Adana, standing in the street as neighbors discussed the crisis. "Everyone who is sick." We all ate at Mama Ejiro's Christmas feast. Silence fell over the crowd. "But not everyone who ate is sick," someone argued. "No, but everyone who is sick ate that rice." Eyes turned toward Mama Ejiro's yellow house at the end of the street. And that's when young Chitara spoke up. "I didn't eat," she said quietly. "I'm the only one who went to the feast but didn't eat. And I'm fine." More silence. Heavier this time. "Where is Mama Ejiro?" someone asked. "Has anyone seen her since the feast?" Chitara had been watching. While everyone else was consumed with caring for the sick, she had been observing Mama Ejiro's house. And what she saw made her blood run cold. Mama Ejiro looked different. The woman who had arrived in December looking like she was in her 60s now appeared to be in her 40s. Her skin was smoother. Her wrinkles had faded. Her movements were lighter, more energetic. She looked younger with each passing day. Chitara told her mother, but like most adults, she was dismissed. "Chitara, people can look different when they're happy. Stop spreading rumors." But Chitara knew what she saw. On the third night after the feast, Chitara snuck out of her house and crept toward Mama Ejiro's compound. She needed proof. Through a gap in the wooden fence, Chitara watched as Mama Ejiro stood in her backyard, surrounded by candles arranged in a circle. She was chanting, not in Igbo, not in English, in something ancient and twisted. And as she chanted, Chitara saw something impossible. Thin streams of light like smoke, but glowing, were flowing through the air from different directions. From the homes where the sick people lived. The streams entered Mama Ejiro's body, and with each one, she seemed to glow brighter, younger. Chitara gasped. Mama Ejiro's head snapped toward the fence. Their eyes met. "You," Mama Ejiro hissed. "You didn't eat. You didn't eat." Chitara ran. She ran faster than she'd ever run in her life, her heart pounding. Behind her, she heard Mama Ejiro's voice, no longer gentle, but sharp and venomous. "Little girl, come back here. Come back." Chitara burst into her family's compound, screaming for her parents. But before she could explain, she saw Mama Ejiro appear at their gate, her face a mask of fury. Then, just as quickly, the mask returned. The gentle smile, the soft voice. "I'm sorry to disturb you," Mama Ejiro said sweetly. "Your daughter was peeking into my compound. I just wanted to make sure she's all right. Children can be so curious." Chitara's father looked angry. "Chitara, why were you spying on our neighbor?" "Papa, she's not what she seems. She's stealing people's lives." "Enough!" her father shouted. "Apologize to Mama Ejiro right now." But Chitara's mother saw something the father didn't. She saw the way Mama Ejiro was looking at her daughter. With hunger. With murderous intent. "Get inside, Chitara," her mother said firmly. Then she turned to Mama Ejiro. "Thank you for letting us know. Good night." She closed the gate before Mama Ejiro could respond. That night, Chitara told her parents everything. At first, her father didn't believe her. But her mother remembered the strange smile, the intense eyes, the way Mama Ejiro had looked at Chitara like prey. They called an emergency community meeting. Chitara stood before the gathered neighbors and told them what she saw. About the chanting, the glowing streams of light, Mama Ejiro growing younger while everyone who ate her rice grew sicker. Some people scoffed. Others looked uncertain. But then Papa Njoku, now looking like a skeleton of his former self, spoke up with what little strength he had left. "I told you," he wheezed. "I told you." She wanted something. Mrs. Adana added, "My husband is dying. The doctors can't explain it. Nothing else makes sense." One by one, families of the sick came forward. The evidence was undeniable. Everyone suffering had eaten the Christmas rice. And Mama Ejiro looked younger every day. "She used the rice," an elder said grimly. "She used it to steal their destinies, their life force, their years." "What do we do?" someone cried. "The doctors can't help. The pastors can't help." The elder looked around at the desperate faces. Then he said the words that changed everything. "We need the Ogu witch catchers." They arrived at midnight. 3 men dressed in dark wrappers, their bodies marked with white chalk symbols. They carried brooms tied with red cloth, calabashes filled with protective powder, machetes carved with ancient symbols, a sacred razor wrapped in palm leaves, and a small drum covered in animal skin. These were the Ogu witch-catchers, men trained by herbalists and spiritualists to deal with supernatural criminals. They were feared across many villages. The moment they stepped onto Okoro Street, the atmosphere changed. Dogs began barking frantically. Children woke up crying. A violent wind blew through the street, though the night had been still moments before. The lead witch-catcher, a man with scars across his face and eyes that seemed to see beyond the physical world, stood at the entrance to Mama Ejiro's compound. He began to beat the drum. Boom, boom, boom. The rhythm was slow, deliberate, and it seemed to vibrate in everyone's bones. From inside the house, a scream erupted. Not a human scream, something primal and filled with rage. The witch-catchers kicked down Mama Ejiro's door. She was inside, writhing on the floor, clawing at her skin as if something was burning her. The drum's rhythm was torturing her. "Stop it! Stop it!" she shrieked. But they didn't stop. The lead witch-catcher chanted in a language older than the town itself. His words seemed to shake the very walls of the house. The community gathered outside, watching through windows and the broken door. Mama Ejiro's face began to flicker. One moment she looked 40, the next moment 70, then 20, then 90. Her true age was impossible to determine. She had stolen so many years from so many people that her real face was lost. The witch-catchers dragged her into the compound yard. She fought with supernatural strength, but they bound her with ropes woven from palm fronds, ropes that burned her skin where they touched. "Please," she begged, her voice now ancient and cracking. "I don't want to die. I don't want to die." The lead witch-catcher held up the sacred razor. "You have stolen what was never yours to take," he said. "Years, destinies, spirits. How many villages have you done this to?" Mama Ejiro's face twisted with desperation. 3, 4. I've been doing this for decades, moving from city to city. I was dying. My own life force was finished. I had no choice." "There is always a choice," the witch-catcher said coldly. He began to cut her hair with the sacred razor. Each strand that fell seemed to carry light with it. Mama Ejiro screamed, not in pain but in fury and desperation. And then it happened. From Mama Ejiro's body, streams of light began to pour out. Glowing, shimmering smoke that shot into the sky and then dispersed in different directions, flying back toward the homes of the people she had cursed. In the community, miracles began to happen. Mr. Emeka gasped as youth returned to his face. His gray hair turned black again. His strength came back. Blessing felt her baby kick. Strong and healthy, she wept with relief. Chitty's joints stopped aching. He stood up from his bed and walked without pain. Mr. Aruna blinked and looked at his wife. "Chioma," he whispered. I remember everything." The two comatose children opened their eyes simultaneously, looking around in confusion. Papa Njoku stopped coughing. Color returned to his face. His weight came back. He stood straighter than he had in days. All across the street, the sick were healed. The stolen years, the stolen life force, the stolen destinies, all were returned. And in the compound, Mama Ejiro grew older, and older, and older. Her skin became paper-thin. Her body shriveled. She aged centuries in minutes, revealing what she truly was, an ancient creature who should have died long ago. "No, no, no," she wailed, reaching toward the sky as if she could grab the escaping years and pull them back. The witch-catchers chanted louder. They sprinkled powder from the calabashes around her. The protective symbols glowed. Mama Ejiro tried to run, but the palm frond ropes held her. She thrashed. She cursed. She begged. The lead witch-catcher raised his machete and struck the ground 3 times. "By the earth that witnessed your crimes, by the spirits you offended, by the lives you stole, I cast you out." As dawn broke over Okoro Street, Mama Ejiro's body began to crack. Like dried clay in the sun, the community watched in silence as she crumbled. Her skin turned to dust. Her bones turned to ash. The wind carried her away piece by piece until nothing remained but a small pile of gray powder in the center of her compound. The witch-catchers bowed their heads. "It is done," the leader said. "The curse is broken. She can harm no one else." They turned to leave, but the community stopped them with gifts: money, food, cloth, gratitude for their salvation. Before he left, the lead witch-catcher spoke to the gathered crowd. "Remember this day. Remember that evil does not always announce itself with fangs and fire. Sometimes it comes with a smile, with kindness that asks for nothing, with generosity that seems too perfect." He looked directly at young Chitara. "And remember, children often see what adults refuse to believe. Listen to them." The yellow house at the end of Okoro Street remained empty for many months. Eventually, another family moved in, but they burned sage and had the compound blessed before setting foot inside. Papa Njoku lived many more healthy years, and he never questioned his instincts again. Chitara grew up to become a woman respected for her wisdom and sharp perception. And the community, they never forgot. To this day, no one on Okoro Street accepts food from strangers, no matter how kind they seem. What do you think the moral of this story is? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more thrilling tales.